4:50 a.m. The Crimean Bridge. For the second time in 6 months, Putin's $4 billion pride and joy is burning. But this isn't just another truck bomb or sneaky sea drone. The twisted wreckage tells a much scarier story for Moscow. Mangled steel and shattered concrete, pierced by the unmistakable precision holes of American-made glide bombs. Ukraine didn't just hit the bridge again. They flew F-16 straight through what Russia calls an impenetrable air defense shield, dropped their payload, and were home before breakfast. The impossible just became a ruinously expensive reality. But before the smoke clears and the Kremlin starts purging generals, we need to understand the insane engineering puzzle Ukraine just solved. This wasn't luck. It was Operation Blindfolded Bear, a mission built on a terrifyingly fragile mix of American hardware and garage-built decoys. First, meet the main character of this impossible raid, the F-16 Block 50. In U.S. Air Force service, this jet is a predator. Here, flying alone into the teeth of the Russian bear, it's prey. It carries 4 GBU-39 small-diameter bombs. These aren't massive bunker busters, they're surgical scalpels. Each is a 285-pound glider with a brain, able to hit a specific parking spot from 46 miles away. But today, they're not aiming for a parking space. Their target is a specific expansion joint on a bridge support, already weakened by the last attack 6 months ago, and timed to coincide with a Russian ammunition convoy hauling 152mm shells. It's like trying to shoot a bullet out of the air with another bullet while blindfolded. Now, meet the villain. The Russian S-400 Triumph. On paper, this system is a monster. Its 92 N6E gravestone radar can track 300 targets at once, projecting a 250-mile no-fly zone that should shred any F-16 into confetti before the pilot even sees the bridge. Its 48 N6 missiles are 4,000-pound telephone poles flying at Mach 6. Theoretically, this mission is suicide. The S-400 sees everything, kills everything, and never blinks. So how do you beat a system that never blinks? You make it hallucinate. Ukraine isn't just sending a jet. They're unleashing a chaotic orchestra of cheap tech built to overload the S-400's brain. I won't spoil the twist yet, but let's just say it turns 50 budget toys and a handful of boats into a ghost fleet that shouldn't exist on any radar screen. All to buy a tiny, terrifying 30-second window. If the wind is wrong, the whole plan dies. If the Russian radar reacts even half a second faster than the math predicts, the F-16 becomes dust. The odds of success hover around 30%, and the clock is already ticking. 4:45 a.m. The Black Sea is pitch black, but inside the lead F-16's cockpit, the threat warning receiver is already glowing with the lethal yellow bands of Russian search radars. Pilot Ghost is skimming the wavetops at 200 feet, doing 550 knots. He's flying a $60 million computer into a microwave oven. Ahead of him, the S-400 battery at Kerch sweeps the horizon with its 92 N6E radar. This is the Eye of Sauron, processing targets with the speed of a supercomputer, tracking hundreds of objects. If Ghost pops up now, he dies in 12 seconds. He needs a distraction. Right on cue, the ocean wakes up. 3 miles ahead, 10 Magura V-5C sea drones, usually used for suicide strikes, do something they were never designed for. They stop. Hatches snap open. From the decks of this robotic flotilla, a swarm of 40 modified FPV drones screams into the air. This is simple math fused with clever logistics. Each Magura carries 4 quadcopters, solving the FPV's biggest weakness, range, by taxiing them to the doorstep of the bridge. Ukraine has just bypassed the battery problem. As the swarm climbs to 5,000 feet, the operation splits into 2. 5 Maguras, their delivery job complete, immediately spin 180 degrees and dash back for the safety of open water. They're too valuable to waste. The remaining 5 stay behind. They are the sacrificial lambs. Those 5 Maguras surge forward, throttles wide open, activating corner reflectors that make these 18-foot boats look like 60-foot landing craft on radar. Above them, the 40 FPV drones aren't just buzzing around at random. They're flying as distributed jammers. Each flips on a custom spoofing pod. To the human eye, they're hobby-grade plastic toys, but to the S-400's radar, they look like something far worse.
The pods emit frequency-hopping signals that mimic the radar profiles of incoming cruise missiles. Suddenly, the radar operators at Kerch don't see 40 small drones. They see 40 low-flying cruise missiles screaming in from multiple angles. It's a denial-of-service attack, but in the physical world. The S-400's processors tuned to filter out birds and waves are flooded with high-priority threats. The system's AI logic stalls under the strain. It tries to classify each contact. Is that a storm shadow? Is it a decoy? The Russian Pantsir's S-1 crews are overwhelmed. Their radar screens are a blizzard of noise and phantom targets, so they fall back to manual optical tracking. The commander shouts the order, "Free fire, engage all contacts." The two Pantsir batteries covering the bridge approaches unleash hell. First, the twin 30mm autocannons roar to life. These aren't just machine guns, they're high-velocity chainsaws. Each turret hurls 5,000 rounds per minute of high-explosive fragmentation cells into the sky. Tracers rip through the pre-dawn darkness like angry neon whips. The first FPV drone caught in the cone of fire doesn't just break apart, it vaporizes into a cloud of plastic shards and copper wire. But here's the Russians' problem. The swarm is too dispersed. The cannons only reach effectively to about 2.5 miles, and the drones are loitering right at the edge, darting in and out, taunting the gunners. Frustrated, the battery commander escalates. He authorizes missile launches. 57 E-6 interceptor missiles streak off the rails. These Mach 4 kinetic killers are built to snap the spine of a cruise missile. Today, they're hunting $500 quadcopters. The first detonation wipes out a cluster of 3 drones in a single fireball. The Russian crews cheer. On their screens, they're winning the engagement, or so they believe. While the sky fills with millions of dollars worth of exploding ordnance, something critical is happening just 12 miles out. Down in the radar shadow hugging the sea, pilot Ghost watches the fireworks on his horizon. To him, those tracers and missile plumes are a giant green light. Every turret pointed at the drones is one less turret pointed at him. He checks fuel flow. He checks his radar altimeter, 180 feet. He's flying so low the spray from the white caps are hitting his sensors. Why is he invisible? Basic geometry. The Earth is round. At 12 miles and 180 feet altitude, Ghost is hidden behind the planet's curvature relative to the Pantsir's low-mounted radars. The S-400's main search array could see him if it looked down, but right now its logic cores are choking on the Phantom cruise missiles at 5,000 feet. The Russian network has tunnel vision. No one is watching the floor. Ghost nudges the throttle to military power, no afterburner which would light up infrared sensors in space. He knives forward at 600 miles per hour. Over the bridge, the drone swarm is dying. 15 down, 20 down. The Pantsers are reloading. Their barrels glow cherry red. The air is thick with smoke, burning propellant, and shredded carbon fiber. The Russian operators high-five. As far as they're concerned, they've just saved the bridge. Their scopes are clearing. The false targets are disappearing. When the last FPV drone corkscrews into the sea, the Russians finally exhale. They think the sky is clean. That's the cue. Using the cover of the bridge pylon's radar shadow, 5 Magura V-5C drones throttle up. Stealth is over. Engines roar as they sprint toward the span at 45 knots, their active emitters cranked up to simulate low-flying cruise missiles. The Russian defense web panics again. The Pantsers, their guns still smoking, wrench their turrets down toward the water. The sea erupts with fountains of 30mm fire. One Magura broads in a fireball, then a second is shredded by a patrol boat's heavy machine gun. But this chaos is exactly what Ghost has been waiting for. With every Russian sensor staring down at the surface, Ghost hauls back on the stick. The F-16 leaps from 200 feet to 2,000 in a violent pop-up maneuver. He climbs out of the radar shadow and into full view of the entire Russian network. He's just stood up in the center of a gunfight. At the top of his climb, he doesn't level out. He pulls harder, pitching into a 45-degree climb to loft his bombs. He's not simply dropping them, he's throwing them downrange. He freezes on the targeting pod. New shapes resolve through the haze on the bridge deck. This is why he's risked everything. Rolling out of the smoke on the Tommen side is a massive logistics column. 20 heavy Kamaz 6350 trucks, suspension sagging under brutal loads, flanked by Tiger armored vehicles. For 15 minutes, while drones fought and boats died, this convoy sat at a checkpoint. Convinced the air raid had ended once the last drone fell, the Russian commander made a lethal call. He ordered them to proceed. He just marched his own ammunition train into a kill box. Ghost watches the lead truck. It's reaching the expansion joint at pylon 14. Not yet. Drop too early and the bombs will only hit escorts. Useless. He needs the heavy center of the convoy, the canvas-covered trucks in the middle, right over the weakened joint. Why wait? Under those tarps lies Order 77B, 500 tons of 152mm shells. If Ghost hits bare concrete, he cuts a hole. If he hits the trucks, he builds a tactical nuke out of conventional explosives. He must let the convoy's heaviest section roll onto the fracture. Every second spent at 2,000 feet is a gift of time to the S-400 radars below. He's a target pinned in the sky, wagering his life on the chaos beneath. In the water, the last 3 Magura dunes are buying him those seconds. They're no longer trying to ram the bridge. Their mission now is survival and distraction. The Russian patrol ship...
Its AK-630 rotary cannon, a 6-barreled monster, spins up, spewing 5,000 rounds per minute. A wall of steel and spray smashes into the drone. Magura 3 tries to jink left, but a 30mm shell tears through its engine block. It cartwheels and disintegrates. 2 drones remain. Magura 4 and 5 spot the Sergei Kotov covering the channel. They split, executing a pincer. 4 goes left, 5 swings right. The patrol ship can't bring its main gun to bear on both at once. The captain orders a hard turn to starboard to unmask the AK-630 toward Magura 4. The cannon roars, shredding Magura 4 just 164 feet from the hull. Its fuel ignites. The blast is huge, coughing thick black smoke across the water. 1 drone is left, Magura 5. Ignored in the confusion, it slips behind the ship's stern. It doesn't ram the vessel. Instead, it cranks its radar emitter to maximum power and begins orbiting the main bridge pylon, screaming electronic noise. On Russian scopes, Magura 5 looks like an entire bomber formation circling the bridge. The picture collapses into total chaos. The Pantsirs are hammering the water. The patrol ship is fighting fires. Smoke blinds multiple sensors. In the cockpit, Ghost sees the smoke plumes, the tracer impacts, the wild confusion. The distraction is perfect. He checks the targeting pod. The lead Kamaz crosses the joint, then the second, then the third. The heavy center of the column is now squarely over a pylon 145. The trap is closed. Ghost squeezes the pickle. 2 GBU-39s fall from the pylons. Released at the top of the loft, they've banked enough kinetic energy to glide the final distance. Their diamond wings snap open. They're inbound. That's when his luck snaps. The S-400 radar operator, finally suspecting that the bomber fleet near the pylon is just a handful of sea drones, manually resets his filters. Clutter vanishes, and there, hanging at 2,000 feet like a neon-lit target, is the F-16. Ghost's threat receiver screams a solid tone. Missile launch. A 48 N6 missile erupts from its canister near Kerch, hitting Mach 6 in seconds. Ghost slams the throttle into full afterburner and yanks the stick hard right, rolling inverted and diving back toward the sea. He pulls 9 Gs. His vision tunnels. His G-suit crushes his legs, trying to keep blood in his brain. He spits flares and chaff. The burning magnesium flares promise a hotter target for the seeker. But this isn't some antique Soviet missile. Its countermeasure logic ignores the decoys. It's latched on to the jet. Ghost is diving at 600 knots. The missile closes at nearly 4,000 knots. The math says he's dead. He has one final card, the notch. He banks perfectly perpendicular to the missile's radar line, trying to match his apparent speed to that of the drifting smoke below. If he succeeds, the Doppler radar might mistake him for a stationary cloud. For a heartbeat, the missile's brain hesitates. Then it reacquires. Ghost braces. The missile detonates, not on him, but on one of the GBU-39s he'd just released. The Russian system, coded to pick the highest priority target, switched at the last moment, favoring the incoming munition over the retreating jet. The bomb disappears in a cloud of tungsten fragments. Ghost lives. But now he has a different problem. He started with 2 bombs. One has been erased mid-air. Only a single GBU-39 remains, silently gliding toward the bridge. The S-400 battery recognizes its mistake. Operators scramble for a second launch. Ghost is still within their envelope, but the lone surviving glide bomb doesn't care. It doesn't see radar, politics, or panic. It's a 250-pound robot with one purpose. It knifes through the smoke from the burning Magura, trimming for a 15-knot crosswind.
It slams not into the road, but through the canvas of a truck, mid-column, punching into the stacked 152mm shells. For a microsecond, nothing happens. Then, physics takes a holiday. The GBU-39's 50-pound warhead detonates inside a truck stuffed with 5 tons of high explosives, and the shockwave doesn't just destroy one vehicle. It acts as a sympathetic detonator, setting off the fuses of nearly 500 tons of artillery shells in unison. The effect is a tactical nuclear-scale blast without the radiation. A fireball 130 feet wide engulfs the span, pushing temperatures to roughly 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to turn asphalt into lava and erase the temper from structural steel in milliseconds. Pylon 145, already weakened, takes a vertical hammer blow it was never designed to withstand. A 300-foot span convulses, sagging 5 meters and twisting into a grotesque, impassable sculpture of warped metal. The main artery of Russia's southern war effort isn't sliced delicately, it's pulped. 12 miles away, skimming the sea at Mach 1.1, Ghost doesn't have to look back. The orange glare reflected in his canopy, brighter than dawn, tells him what he's done. He checks his fuel. 800 pounds remain. It's razor thin, but enough to limp home. When the smoke finally lifts, the picture is grim for Moscow. The rail line has warped into a roller coaster of bent steel. The road deck is a smoking void, unusable for heavy armor or mass logistics traffic for months. The balance sheet is brutal. Ukraine spent around $1.3 million, a swarm of cheap drones, a few remotely piloted boats, and 2 glide bombs. In return, Russia faces hundreds of millions in repairs, the loss of 500 tons of critical shells, and the near-total paralysis of its southern war effort logistics for months. Now it's your turn. Does this strike mark the beginning of the end of Russia's grip on Crimea, or will they patch this artery back together like they did last time? Drop your best theories and excuses in the comments below.